7:45, so we'll go ahead and get started. We've got about a dozen people here in the room with us. It looks like we've got at least that many more online, so I appreciate everybody coming to joining forces today. We are at New Horizons Boise, and they are actually in Meridian. And I'm going to have Barb Lewis come up. She is the director here, and tell us a little bit about New Horizons and their programs. So,
okay. Well, the reason we're called New Horizons Boise is because we own all of Idaho Territory and Oregon, so they try to call it New Horizons. From the Microsoft apps like Excel, Word, that kind of stuff, up to, I've got guys in class right now that are doing CCNA, that is technical. I mean, they built their computer, they've now learned how to network their computer, and right now they're in learning security, CompTIA security. These are industry certifications so that when they're done, they take the exam, they have their industry cert, and they can go right to work. We've got 3 companies we work with that as soon as someone has one of those exams, they will we can send them for an interview. We can't guarantee a job, but we can send them for the interviews. We work a lot with veteran readiness and employment. We work a lot with VRAP. We've got quite a few VRAP students right now. And then we have, just companies and state government agencies that come in. We do a lot that way. We do have behind you, if you want to see it when you go out, you can either go out the kitchen way or you can go down the hallway the other way. We have what we call Veterans Way. And we display anything that anybody wants us to put up so that they can get resources from there also. So if you have something you want displayed, hand it to me today or bring it over and we can get that displayed for you. And please note, we have the World War II uniform out there. It's my, it's one of mine. And so anyway.
Not yours personally.
Not mine personally. No, there's no way I could get into it. It was for someone who was 6'2" and weighed like 135. So, yeah. Anyway, but it's kind of fun to see a few of the things. We did have a flag that we had to give back, so we're getting a new flag. And that flag was one that flew over 9/11, the one we had before there. So it's just been kind of fun to see what different people send and put in our Veteran Way area.
And you guys do accept the GI Bill?
We do. We accept the GI Bill. And other forms. We do have payment plans if they need to. Most of the time for the veterans, though, they've got their GI Bill they use, and we are approved that way to do that.
And how about spouses of veterans?
Oh, she always reminds me of this because I forget to say this. We let spouses come in. If they want to get the GI Bill for some tech class, that's fine. From their husband if they want to transfer or wife transfer it. But we also, any of the apps class, we let them come in for free. They can come in and take any of that along with QuickBooks, any of that kind of stuff that they need for themselves. We let the spouses come in for free. They just have to show us their card, so then we're good to go that way. Come on in. Yeah.
And I think somebody was mentioning too, they've sent some of their staff over just for Excel and things like that.
Yeah, we work with a lot of government entities and different businesses for just teaching that. These guys were in here going, oh no, we're going to type this morning. Well, I have shut the monitors off. If it starts to flicker on you, just shut it back off, because they are up and running, because we do have classes in here later today. So, all right.
So they may have any questions for Barb at all.
Thank you for what you do.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, we enjoy serving. Yes.
Do you offer any workshops?
Workshops as in, we do resume writing. We do, we teach some people how to use the LinkedIn, how to do some social media stuff. We do those workshops usually on Thursday morning or Thursday afternoon. We just ask that you sign up for them and just let us know you want to come in for it. Yeah. Is that what you're talking about on
Yeah, and how
workshop?
do we access that?
Just shoot me an email. I will send my card around.
I'll make sure I get that info.
Yeah, I will be the one that I deal with that kind of stuff. So,
Okay, thanks, Barb. I just want to double check online. Can everybody hear us okay? Shake your head.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. Just wanted to make sure. So, okay, I'm going to skip around a little bit only because our presenter is going to be here online right at 8 o'clock, and then she's got another appointment that she has to get to. So I'll kind of talk till then, and we'll get her on, and then we'll go back. Something I started a couple months ago was letting you know, like yesterday, I had a request that went out for a Vietnam veteran. He's been hospitalized at the medical center, and his son came out to visit him and actually decided to take Dad back to Indiana with him, but that wasn't the plan when he came out here, and so he needed to rent a U-Haul, and there was going to be, you know, the additional cost of gas hauling a U-Haul back, and he drove straight out here, but to return with his dad's condition, they were going to need to stop probably 2 nights along the way and things. And so a social worker at the Boise VA Medical Center reached out to me and said, you know, is there anything you can do to help? And I said, I don't know, but we'll put it out to joining forces and see. And everybody came together like you always do. I always say I don't make any promises, but it's almost to the point where I can say, I can almost guarantee it. So we had quite a few people reach out. Thank you, Barb. New Horizons reached out. Their staff has given us some. Idaho Veterans Network, the Daughters of the American Revolution. I had several different members contact me. Christina, I'm drawing a blank on your organization. The Independence Fund, and we had anywhere from donations from $25 up to $500. We had 2 Boise police officers that are on my list contact me and make donations and things. So thank you for that. I'll send out an update, but where I was going with that is giving you an update at each joining forces meeting about how much money has come in. And just as a reminder, we don't have a bank account. Joining Forces is just a coalition of all of you coming together for a monthly meeting and my email group. But this last month, including what came in yesterday, $5,264 to help veterans. And that was with rent. We had an electrical bill that needed taken care of, the situation yesterday. So that's pretty good for not having a bank account or, you know, anything like that. Everybody comes together. So thank you. Thank you online, everybody watching. Tonight, we are going to have a fundraiser. Step out of the screen here. I'm working with the Idaho Veterans Garden and Marissa McCarter. She is an Army veteran who served in the 116th, deployed to Iraq. She was best friends with Carrie French when they were over there and was in Iraq when Carrie was killed. And Marissa's written a beautiful short story called Marbles. And you can go online at the Idaho Veterans Garden and read that story. When Ben Victor, the world famous artist that did the statue up at the Veterans Cemetery, when he read that story, he said, I know that it's been talked for years about doing a memorial or a statue to honor Carrie, but that story just touched him so much, and the camaraderie that Marissa wrote about. And so he has designed this statue of 2 women, and it goes hand in hand, like I said, with that story. We are raising funds to make this happen at the Idaho Veterans Garden. Tonight at Mother Earth Brewery in Nampa from 5 to 8. They are donating $1 of each special pint sold. The entertainer is donating all of his fees to the memorial, and then Chef G is going to be there with his sushi bus, and he's donating 10% of his proceeds. So it'll be a good opportunity to come out. Marissa will be there. You can meet her and talk to her, and we'll have some other things coming up, but wanted to get that out to everybody. Let's see here. I don't think Sarah's on yet. Okay. The other thing coming up April 24th is the POW MIA Suite Ride. They sponsor a motorcycle ride, but it's not just for motorcycles. You can have your car. It's kind of like a convoy from Caldwell to Sweet, Idaho. They'll have a barbecue there, musical entertainment and things. Tickets pre-purchased are only $10. And then if you show up the day of, it's $15. The POW MIA group, of course, they raise awareness for our POWs and MIAs that are still missing and things, but they are also huge contributors to our Boise Veterans Home. They raise a lot of funds throughout the year and donate them to the home to make sure that those guys over there have, you know, some of their extra special trips, special meals and things like that. So even if you can't ride, purchase a ticket, come on out. I'll be out there on that Sunday, the 24th in Sweet, and it'll be a good time. So
Where is that?
Sweet starts at Cruise and Bike Wear in Caldwell, and then they're going to ride to Sweet, Idaho. And I'll send out a flyer on that today. So, okay, do we have Sarah on yet? Not yet. Okay. Let's see here. Don't want to get started on something too much here. Dave, I'm going to have you talk about one thing, and then we'll circle back to your second thing after our presentation. But do you want to maybe even come up and talk about the coins that we're doing for the Veterans Cemetery? Sure. And the funds that have been raised on that?
Right about here?
Yep, that's good.
Good morning, everybody. Passed out a flyer this morning. For those of you online, we'll try to get that to you by email. Mike Masterson, who's former Boise Chief of Police, many of you know him, a staunch veteran supporter, went on vacation to Wisconsin, and while he was there, he came into contact with a state veteran coin that the state gave to each veteran laid to rest in Wisconsin. He came back here and talked with James Earp, who's the Bureau Chief of the Idaho State Veteran Cemetery, part of Idaho Division of Veteran Services, and talked with him about the potential of doing that here. They put together a design. You see that here on the flyer, and the intent is now to mint these coins, first edition of 4,000 coins, which will be enough for about 4 to 5 years of veterans laid to rest here in Idaho. And we're fundraising to get $20,000 together in order to pay for the minting of this first batch of coins. To date, we've collected about $8,000, I think, and we're trying to close that gap to $20,000. We would appreciate your personal donations, those of your organizations, and if you'd like to push this out to your organizations, we'd be very grateful. The intent is for us to raise those funds. We've already delivered a check yesterday, $5,000 to the company that is actually minting the coins and has helped us with the design. So they're starting on the first 2,000 coins, and they should be minted and in our hands here within a few weeks. So we would certainly appreciate your support. Idaho Veterans Network has been working with the individuals that are listed on the flyer: Mike Masterson, Marv Hagedorn, who's a former state senator, and James Earp with the Veterans Cemetery. And we are a 501c3 and have the ability to allow people to do online donations. So we're collecting the funds and then moving them right through to the folks that are producing coins. Please be assured that 100% of everything that goes into this is going directly to this project. So as you donate to Idaho Veterans Network, online or otherwise, just make a memo, Veterans Remembrance Coin, and we'll make sure it gets straight to the project. Great project. It's something that's going to be memorable for every family that lays a veteran to rest in our state. So along with their flag and other things, they'll get this commemorative coin that the family can have as a remembrance of our appreciation for their service.
And then they're planning on giving one out per family, but then additional coins can be purchased.
Yes,
is that correct?
yes. One coin per family, and then if they'd like other coins, they can be purchased.
What will the purchase price be? Do you know?
Nominal, less than $10. Yeah. Any questions?
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
So what if, as part of the fundraising, you asked for, I don't know, $25 or whatever, and for that you got a coin in addition. So there would be the price of the coin, but you would net, maybe 20 out of the 25, or the other medallion that's out there, so that people, get something, but they also donate much more than what the price of that is.
It's a great suggestion. I think that's been thought of already, and it's probably in the works to make that happen. Yes. Thank you, Norma. Yeah. Other questions? All right. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you very much. The other coin that Norma mentioned, the State Treasurer's Office has the Silver Medallion. They still have a limited number of those left. They're $50 each, or a numbered Silver Medallion is $100. And they feature 5 women veterans. One of the veterans on there is still living, and that's Judy Amy. She was our keynote speaker at our Veterans Day celebration for the Vietnam veterans and things. So, okay, Sarah, are you online?
I am, yes. Thank you so much, Mitzi, for being patient with my schedule today.
Okay, and everybody in the room is going to be very quiet because our our speaker isn't real loud, but go right ahead.
Okay, great. Well, like I said, Mitzi's being very patient with my schedule. Christina reached out, I think, on Tuesday and said she needed me to present, and I didn't realize I have a meeting right after this and had a meeting right before this. So I'm going to go briefly into some information. Hopefully all of you are aware that April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And so here at the Boise VA, we recognize our survivors of military sexual trauma during this month. Can all of you see my screen that I just shared there?
Yep, we sure can.
Okay, great. And as I switch that slide, does that work for you?
Yep.
Is it switching? Okay, great. So Sexual Assault Awareness Month, I am the Military Sexual Trauma Coordinator here at the Boise VA. And so I see some familiar names on the chat. And so for those of you who aren't or who don't know me, I'm also Veterans Justice Outreach Social Worker and also taking over for the TCM Post 9/11 program as well. So wear a lot of hats, but April, my primary hat is Military Sexual Trauma Coordinator. So here at the VA, I'll talk a little bit more about what I do at the VA, but I want to talk about MST just briefly. Really, my goal as MST Coordinator is to provide education to the community so that we as a community are responsive to what our military or our MST survivors are experiencing so that we can get them help, that we can get them onto the road to recovery, that we can connect them with the services and benefits that they so desperately need, but that also they've earned and that they deserve. So sometimes there's some misperceptions about what is military sexual trauma or what does count as MST. So it does include sexual assault. It also includes repeated threatening sexual harassment. So an actual assault does not have to occur, but it can be that harassment, because we know that the mental and emotional effects of that harassment are devastating to a soldier's career, to their sense of self, to their sense of belonging, to their overall well-being. So MST can occur on or off base, as well as the identity of the perpetrator does not matter. So when someone is active duty military, for example, and the perpetrator is maybe a national where they are deployed, or maybe somebody in the community where they're living, that still counts as military sexual trauma as well. So again, you know, I'm not going to go through this whole PowerPoint presentation, but I am, or all of these bullet points, but I do really want to point out that compliance does not mean consent when it comes to military sexual trauma, or in any type of sexual assault, to be honest. But this one comes up quite often with our MST survivors. And so it's really important that we as a community really reinforce to survivors that whatever they had to do to survive, it is okay, that in the moment they might not have been able to fight back. They might not have been able to act in the ways that they wish they could have in order to try to protect themselves. But that doesn't mean what happened to them is okay. And so really reinforcing that compliance does not mean consent. There's a lot of reasons why someone would not be able to give consent. Maybe because the assault is from a superior, or maybe given the dynamics of their safety in that moment. So it's really important that we're all aware of that, and really reinforcing that to survivors. We know that military sexual trauma is incredibly pervasive. We know that 1 in 3 women soldiers, or 1 in 3 women military, have experienced MST. We also know 1 in 50 men have experienced MST. We also know that these statistics come from veterans who have decided to seek care at the VA. So we know that these numbers are very underrepresented, because oftentimes survivors are not comfortable seeking care at the VA because they maybe don't feel safe because of what happened to them during their military time, fear of being judged, fear of not being eligible. So we know that there are a lot of MST survivors in our community who might be who might be eligible for some access to resources, but they are not accessing them. We also know that this is an issue from all eras in the military, not just present day, or just in recent history. We also know that sexual assault can lead to a number of mental health diagnoses, one of which is post-traumatic stress disorder. I think oftentimes when we're working with the military population, we think of post-traumatic stress disorder as it pertains to combat, or as it pertains to really traumatic events and training, or something of that nature. But what we know about military sexual trauma, or sexual assault in general, is that individuals who've experienced that type of an assault are much more likely to experience PTSD, even more so than individuals who've experienced high combat exposure. So women who've experienced sexual assault are 5 times more likely to develop PTSD, whereas women who've been exposed to high combat are 4 times more likely to develop PTSD. Men who've experienced sexual assault are 6 times more likely to experience PTSD, and men who've experienced high combat exposure are 4 times more likely to experience PTSD. So what is VA doing to address this issue? So every person who comes into the VA for their first initial primary care provider appointment is asked, did you experience military sexual trauma? And a definition is given it at that time. If they have, and they identify as having experienced MST, they can access free MST-related care, as long as that appointment is tied to MST. So maybe somebody's dealing with some pelvic health issues, but we can say with certainty that that's related to their experience with MST. So every time they go to the physical therapist for that appointment, instead of having a copay, that would be free related care. Mental health related care, substance abuse, addictions, physical related care as well. Every VA has an MST coordinator like myself. So oftentimes I'm working with veterans who have come from another VA, or we have veterans here that are leaving to go to another VA. I will oftentimes do a warm handoff with the MST coordinator over there and introduce the veteran to that person so that they know they have one person advocating for them, kind of helping them walk through the system once they get there. There's also a national MST support team. So oftentimes all of you in the community will reach out to me with specific questions. And I'm relatively new to this role, so I'm still trying to figure out the ins and the outs. So I'll go to that national team that's incredibly responsive. So if you have questions that you think maybe I can't answer, still ask them to me. I can get the answers from that national support team.
Sarah?
We also, oh,
I
go
do
ahead.
have a question. You mentioned on an initial health screening that you ask about MST. What if the veteran at that time says, no, that's never happened to me, but then they come back? Is there a problem with that, having already been done?
That's such a great question, Mitzi. Thank you. You bring up such a great point. Oftentimes people don't say yes at that first appointment for good reason, because they're just getting to know this person as a provider. They don't know if they can trust them, if they can share what they need to share. So oftentimes we won't hear on the VA's end that they've experienced MST for years. So I oftentimes have veterans coming to me 10, 15 years after they've been accessing care all of this time, or maybe 20 years since the incident, and saying, I experienced MST. What kind of services do you have to offer? And that is absolutely okay. We are prepared to take that information whenever the veteran is willing to provide that information. And there's no pressure to share what you're not ready to share. That's a great question.
Hold on a second. Jackie has a question.
Yeah, so through our peer support team, we've helped several female veterans with MST, and my question would be is who could they contact, or who could we connect them directly with through the Boise VA that would help them? For example, I've got several who've gone in for like x-rays or a CT scan or something like that, and because of their military sexual trauma, they have a lot of anxiety, and it triggers them if there's a male technician. And they have requested multiple times that a female be present in the room. And they're like, well, if somebody's available, and they're like, no, needs to be. There's been appointments canceled. There's been, females have gotten triggered. What do we do? Who can help with directing to make sure that they actually have a female practitioner, nurse, somebody in the room while they're getting care at the VA?
I would love for you to reach out to me so that I can work with them on making sure that happens, because we do have a chaperone policy that I can work with the medical team on ensuring that that's followed.
Okay.
So I want to know about that information after the fact so that I can help advocate, but also before the fact as well.
Okay.
And
thank you.
on my last slide, we'll have my contact information.
Perfect.
Thank you. Yes. I would love to be clued into those, because you don't know what you don't know. And so the more feedback we're getting, the better we can provide quality care. So letting us know when those things happen so we can follow up and see what's going on, and find the barriers in the system that prevent us from providing trauma-informed care.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Kind of in addition to that, one of our roles is that outreach to veterans, but also education and training. I'm kind of giving a very brief overview today in regard to MST. But if your agency or if your group wants more information or wants to provide some type of like a CEU or an educational lunch and learn, please let me know. I love being able to get out into the community and talk to people and connect with people. That's really where we hear what's really happening at our VA, so that we can then take that information back and really work together on some of these issues. So if anyone has a group that you feel like would really benefit from additional information as it pertains to MST, please let me know and how I can best support that and be a part of that. So some information about some of the screening that we do. In the interest of time, I'll kind of go past this. Again, you know, as it pertains to MST related care, the free related care, whether it be medications, outpatient, inpatient, residential care. If you're working with a veteran who's having issues with that, with getting that free MST related care, again, please let me know so that I can help assist them. What's also really important about MST related healthcare is that eligibility criteria as it pertains to care related to MST is different than the standard eligibility requirements. So we oftentimes work with military or former military who have other than honorable discharges. Maybe they didn't have enough time in service, so they're not eligible for traditional VA healthcare. We can provide services to them as it pertains to that MST. And oftentimes we do work with former service members who have OTHs or not enough time in service, and who, because of the MST, had to leave the military early, started to engage in coping mechanisms that were not conducive to staying in the military, such as using drugs or alcohol or their mental health conditions. And so it's really important that we bring those veterans in and start treating what they've been dealing with, get them connected with a service officer, really work with them, wrap services around them so that we can get them the care that they need. So if you ever have any questions, you know, oftentimes it's never cut and dry. So let me know if those questions come up. Just run that scenario by me. If I don't know the answer, I'll run it through the national team, run it through our eligibility office, and we'll see what we can do. I believe Dan Ashley's also here today too, and is going to be speaking about Vet Center, but we work really closely with the Vet Center because they also have different eligibility as well.
Yeah, Dan's in the room. We'll have him up after.
Perfect. Good. Yes. Vet Center is an amazing resource. So again, also that gender sensitive care, I think whoever had asked that question, we try to provide same gender care if that's what is requested. And so again, if there's issues with that, please let me know. Please let me know if there's issues with the chaperone policy, and please educate the veterans that you're working with in regard to the chaperone policy. I can provide that policy for you. I think it's really important that we educate not only providers, but also the veterans as to what those policies are so that they know what they can request, that they feel empowered to get the services that they need. So again, for accessing MST related care, they can contact me, they can contact the Vet Center, they can come into our outpatient medical center entrance and meet with our business office and talk with them about eligibility. There's also a lot of resources. This website is a great resource. If you just put in VA into any Google or any search engine, VA, military sexual trauma, a lot of VA related resources and eligibility information is going to pop up as well. So again, there's an MST coordinator at every site. I kind of went over what my role is in terms of working with the community, working with veterans. I also run, currently I run a group for MST survivors. If you have somebody interested in attending that group, please let me know. Right now, I only have female cohorts. My goal is also to have a male cohort at some point. I just haven't had the interest at this point. One of those groups is online, one group is face-to-face. Trying to be responsive to the veterans' needs. So let me know if you have veterans that you think would benefit from that type of programming. Here is my contact information. I just want to offer myself up as a resource. Email is usually the best way to reach me, or my work cell, my office line. I'm out and about, especially as the world is finally opening back up. So I'm not often in my office, but please feel free to reach out to me through my work cell or through email. If you ever have questions, concerns, needs, please let me know how I can best support you and the veterans that you're serving. So looking forward to chatting with some of you offline if you have questions, or if you have questions now, I'm more than happy to take some time to answer those.
I just want to kind of clarify something. If someone is on active duty, or say it's a reserve weekend or something like that, they're off base, they're sexually assaulted, they still qualify under the rules, right?
Active duty, yes. It gets a little different with reserve. They have to be, that would be something I'd run through national, because there's nuances. what's their status when it happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and I just, as an example, and I mean, this is an ugly subject to talk about, but I'm going to put some real faces to it. I worked with a female veteran, and she was on an activated reserve weekend, was raped off base, and then had to, come on duty. She was late reporting back for duty. And then, of course, she was reprimanded and things. And this was 1983. It has just recently surfaced in her life and things. She finally came in and filed an MST claim and went through the process. And, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It can be an ugly process. You do have to, relive all that and explain what happened. It came down to the VA said that she qualified for benefits, but they just needed proof that she was activated that particular weekend in 1983. Well, they said a pay stub, anything like that would do. Well, you can get your pay stubs off of the DFAS or whatever it is, only back to 1990. And so she was like, I've gone through all this and there's nothing you can do. I reached out to Senator Crapo's office, and I'm not sure exactly what the process was, but I have a feeling they sent somebody over to the Pentagon and went through boxes in the basement until they found proof that she was actually there that weekend and was paid. And we got that in, and she's now receiving full benefits. So that's just one example. There's no statute of limitations on that. Another example, I have had an Army veteran that she was discharged because she was overweight. Well, she had been sexually assaulted by her commanding officer for about 18 months. And the only way that that abuse was stopping was when she gained weight so that he wasn't interested anymore. And then, of course, she didn't bring it to light while she was on duty, but that was why she was discharged. And, I think for any of us, if we were discharged under those circumstances, especially, if we loved serving our country, that it would be very traumatic. But she was finally able to come forward and things. So that's just another example. There's a million. I hate to say it. I've heard a million stories. So it's out there. Don't take it for granted. If you're working with a male or a female and PTSD, even other things are coming up and stuff, that could be the underlying cause of it. And they may not even realize that it's the underlying cause when it's happening. So do you have anything else to add, Sarah, before we bring Dan up?
Mitzi, that's just one other thing that just brings up such a great point in terms of, and first, well, it brings up two great points. So appreciative of what our service officers do to really help in the, we could go, I think both of us could go on for days on success stories of getting people services and how incredible that is. And so appreciative of what you all do. The other thing is you bring up such a great point in terms of, really changing our mindset when we see people acting in ways that just don't make sense. Instead of asking ourselves, what's wrong with you? Asking what happened to you? What is this about? What are these reactions about, and not personalizing it? Because oftentimes, those hurt people act in ways that, can lash out at us and can make us feel frustrated. But once we start to spend some time really understanding what's happening, oftentimes it's trauma. And they're scared and they're terrified and they don't know if they can trust you. And so really appreciative of this community that I think does such a great job to build trust and really work so hard for our veterans. So thanks to all of you and everything that you do. And please let me know what I can do to help. Feedback, concerns, issues, please keep me posted.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Sarah.
Take care, everyone.
Dan, Ashley, you want to come up front here and talk a little bit about the vet center and what you offer over there? A lot of times, again, I think whether it's MST or any other service, health or otherwise, some veterans are hesitant to contact the VA, maybe from past experiences, just things that they've heard, that sort of thing. So a lot of times I will refer people over to the vet center. They are run by the VA, but they're kind of a separate entity. So Dan, if you want to come over, kind of stand right there so you're on the camera.
All right. Marhaba, Tisbay Alak Ayed. I still remember some of my Arabic from serving in Iraq. The Vet Center is a great program. A lot of people don't quite understand the difference between Vet Center and VA hospital.
Your head,
we are
your head is disappearing.
You
Yeah.
just have to be over here a little bit more. There you go. Thank you.
We are two separate agencies, so we do not report through VA hospital chains at all. Our information goes directly to central office in Washington, D.C., and how we operate is independent. One of the great things about the Vet Center program is we can work with those on active duty status, so they do not have to be out of the military to come see us. And that's one thing that Congress mandated for us to be able to go onto the bases and the forts and advise the active duty service members that if they're struggling with any kind of trauma, they can come and see us now and not have to wait until they had that DD-214 to go into the VA system. We can also see family members, spouses and children. And we do flexible hours too. We work hand in hand with the VA hospital when there is a veteran that may be struggling and maybe they're needing some additional resources or a different fit. The Vet Center is oftentimes a great program for them. We were designed to be kind of a peer-to-peer mentoring program. So the majority of employees at a Vet Center are veterans. And about 60% are combat vets who have served in hostile or combat environments. The MST program came on board after the initial push to treat Vietnam vets. And MST is one of those traumas that can be a hidden trauma, like was talked about, where the veteran may come in and not open that up or divulge that until months or years later. But it is a trauma that we do focus on and assist our veterans with, and a program where we go out to the community and do outreach and go into rural communities where there's little to no services and can provide counseling, resource development, referral to other programs, either in the VA or outside the VA system. And then, just so you know too, the VA hospitals also created what's called the Women's Clinic that is specific for women to opt into, and they can get treatment at a women's side of the clinic too, especially for certain traumas where they are having difficulty or anxiety symptoms of being around too many people. But the Vet Center program is a free program. We don't do any kind of copay or charge any insurance. We don't do a means test like the VA hospital does. So it is a free system for those that are eligible. We can't treat everybody that served in the military, but we are what's called an evolving paradigm. So we are constantly adding to our eligibility of what we can do. And initially it was combat, hostile environment, and then MST was added, and then bereavement. So family members who are suffering from the loss of a person who was on active duty status and died, whether it was in the States or out of the States. The family can get bereavement counseling. We can also work with some people outside of hostility zones, such as drone operations, mortuary affairs, immediate medical care. And as of this last year, humanitarian and civil unrest. And so a lot of our Guard member reservists qualify for a little bit more because they're getting called up for humanitarian needs, for civil rest and riot control. And they can get called up for a deployment as well, which would qualify them. MST Yes, that is reserve guards a little bit more challenging, but basically if they're on annual duty, annual training, or weekend duty, they're definitely eligible for that. Any case outside of that, we'd have to take a look at that specific case and see if we could qualify them. Any questions for me about the vet center, who we are? We are funded by the VA, but our funding is separate. So VA hospitals cannot tap into our funding of what we do. And we do work hand in hand. We're not a competitor to the VA hospital. Our intent is to offer a veteran another resource and just another avenue for them to go through if they're wanting to try something outside of the VA hospital. And some of them don't even have to be enrolled in the VA hospital to see us. We can also work with anyone who's had an unfavorable discharge. There's no time limit on being able to work with them as well. All right. Yes.
How did we find out about the Women's Health Care Center? How do we know that or connect people with that?
So
Who do they call?
Sarah Kearney could get you connected with that. I don't know who the coordinator would be for the women.
I don't know, it's changed
Yeah.
over there recently.
Yeah, I don't have a current, but I can
Through
find
the
out.
VA?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, VA hospital.
Sam,
Yes.
how many mental health professionals do you have at the Boise Vet Center?
Right now, we're at about 6. The most we've had at the Boise VA or Vet Center is 10. We are considered to be one of the biggest vet centers nationwide. We are a rural state, so we cover actually a really big area. Most of Idaho, except for the Panhandle, and now the far eastern part of Idaho, where Idaho Falls now has a vet center. They were in Pocatello, moved over to Idaho Falls. And then I cover 4 counties into Oregon. So I'm all the way out into Burns, Baker City, John Day, all the way down to Duck Valley, which is just right into Nevada. And as far as Grangeville, although Grangeville is hard to get to, especially in winter months. So
You guys have the ability to prescribe medications?
no, we do not have any psychiatrists on board at a vet center. So we will provide the counseling. If we feel there's a need to explore that, we do refer them to the VA to get assessed for that. Some vet centers have programs where a psychiatrist can go to the vet center monthly and meet with clients there. We had a program like that, but then he retired and we haven't been able to get it fit for somebody to come out yet. So, any other questions? Yes.
Do you have, I know for a while you had support groups meeting there. But with COVID kind of things shifted a little bit. What's the status?
We do have some limited groups. And so spacing, wearing masks, things like that. We've had them outdoors if the weather was nice enough where we can go on the back patio. But yes, we do have groups, various types of groups. Questions? All right, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Christina Pollock is the director over at the Boise Vet Center. She's also very responsive if you need anything. Dan's got the big mobile vet unit that he takes all over the countryside. If you're having a huge event or something like that, you can see if he's available. He came out for our Vietnam Veterans Recognition Day and things. So that's really nice to have out there. You've got counseling rooms and things inside that vet center. The other thing I just want to reiterate is I think when we initially think of military sexual trauma, we do think about women, and the majority of the reported victims are women, but it can happen to men also. Give another example, had an Air Force veteran and served very honorably for 3 years, and then his service record just kind of went downhill. He was discharged on just a general discharge. Thank goodness it wasn't, dishonorable. But after he got out, and this was in the late 90s, got into drugs. I mean, his family's put him in rehab. He gets out, same thing happens over and over again. I believe this was 1997 when he was first discharged. Just recently, he finally admitted to a counselor that he had been sexually assaulted in the military, and he is getting the help that he needs now, looking at, getting his discharge upgraded and things like that. Dan?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that point up, because several years back, MST cases between male and female were about the same. But if you look at male military, is a lot higher than female in the military. So, 85% men versus 15% women, although the numbers were close to the same. The numbers that you saw, what Sarah put up, were about 2 to 1. So
yeah.
Every 2 cases of women to 1 case of male. But those are just reported. So there are tons of unreported cases that have not surfaced.
So that begs the question. Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking about like nearly 50 years ago now when I was on active duty at the tail end of Vietnam. It was the kiss of death to report something like this, right? You would not have gone to anybody, and you probably would only have been able to go to somebody who might have been the perpetrator, right? So what has changed in the military environment to encourage and support people reporting these kinds of events? Or are they going outside of their military chain of command to head for a vet center or MST counselor in the VA or something like that?
Well, Dan might be able to answer this better. I think my experience has been, just like everything, it's improving, but they've got a long ways to go. They've got new processes and procedures in place, but I think any of you that have been in the military know that you can have a process and procedure, but is it realistic, chain of command wise, to be able to follow that? I think that's the great thing about the vet centers is that whether you're on active duty or you're a veteran, that you can go to a vet center, and any claims with MST aren't reported back to your chain of command. You can get treatment, assistance, benefits, that sort of thing. I was talking to a veteran, a female veteran just yesterday, and, very angry. She wants justice, of course, and things. And, I had to tell her, I said, well, that's not going to happen, but we can get you the help that you need so that you can move on. So, Richard.
Speaking of 50 years, I was a senior watch officer on one of the first 4 ships in the Navy. We had 1,200 men. We got 70 enlisted women and 4 officers. From a discipline standpoint, the percentage is about the same for enlisted. Certain percentage of men, we got a discipline call. Same percentage for really wasn't much different. But we started to run into, first, male homosexual problems with attacks, male on men. And then we did the same thing in women. It was the women coming on board that the gay guys started acting out openly. The Navy was not prepared to deal with it at all. At all. The unbeknownst to me, the doctor, our head doctor, was keeping track of what went on. I was too. And about 2 years later, when we were both getting ready to leave, we discovered that each other had been taking notes. So we combined our notes into a very objective look at what had changed over that time. Naval Hospital at San Diego was not prepared. The NIS at the time, which we now call NCIS, was not prepared. Nobody in Washington, D.C. was prepared. On and on and on. Just was not prepared to take care of the changing dynamics of the women and men being together and what it caused people to act out. We addressed our report to the Chief Naval Operations. The Admiral that was in charge of where I was, we sent it up to the chain of command. It got to him. He called us up. He threw it in the trash can. When he threw it in the trash can, that was the moment that I decided to retire. Because the Navy was not going to take this serious. And it wasn't just the sexual assault, there was a lot more. One of my women, I came in on a Monday morning and she'd been raped on Saturday night by another crewman. Started out as consensual. She said no. He kept going. I had to assign an officer to do an investigation. We found out more during that investigation about people and how they acted together in the response of the Navy or lack of response of the Navy. So you talk about 50 years ago, this is 50 years ago, pretty much. But we've come a long way. And we haven't come far enough because we just heard about the VA situation where this woman went on active duty for a weekend in 1983 and they couldn't find any records because they never go back to 1990. It's one of the biggest things that I've heard about the VA for the last 50 years. Is the VA is unrealistic in what it asks for from service members. Because many times the information is not available. But I can tell you in real life that women coming into the military, first of all, don't get me wrong, we need women in the military. 1976 study of why we need women in the military. And women have been a resource that we haven't adequately used in the military over the years. And it's still that way. So I'm really glad to hear what's going on and what this young lady's doing.
We'll have to have more discussion about this. Richard McPherson, this is his first time at our meeting, but he's got a lot of good perspective and good stories. If you want to attend the American Legion coffee, the second Tuesday of each month at Wild West, Wild West Italiano in Eagle, and stuff 10 to 12. You can talk with Richard more. It's always a good.
I'll be glad to
talk
talk to the veteran anytime about anything.
Okay.
I'm still very actively involved.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on here. Norma, would you like to come up and talk about the film I Married the War and what's coming up here?
Thank you.
This is Norma Jager.
It's so great to be back joining forces after a hiatus that it kind of, I can't even think about the two years.
Norma was one of the original members, 2009. So she's been with us since the beginning.
So we have an amazing film. Some of you are familiar with the film Bravo, Common Men, Uncommon Valor. This is a film that is the other side of the coin. It is about wives of combat veterans when the warrior comes home and the war comes home with them. And so it's an interviews with 11 women across the United States, sharing their stories over many combat eras, going back to World War II with Sally Jackson and coming forward to Afghanistan. We're having a gala reception at the Riverside Hotel on May 4th. It will be followed, so 6 o'clock for the reception, followed at 7 o'clock by the Idaho premiere screening of the film. And then there will be a brief sort of panel with questions and answers from 4 of the women who are in the film and the filmmakers. We have tickets. You can get tickets on Eventbrite for a contribution, whatever amount you choose to make, suggested $12. We have display tables. So any of you with organizations that would like to have your organization represented with a display that shows the services, who you serve, the services you provide, the resources that are available, especially to family members and wives of combat veterans. So I'm excited to know, because I really didn't realize that the Vet Center also served spouses and family members. That's really important, and can do so confidentially. That also seems like a huge issue. So if you want a display table, there's no charge for the display tables. We're suggesting that individuals that have display tables may want a block of 10 tickets for $100, but you don't have to do anything to have a display table there. Laura Nickel is one of the women in the film, and she will be there that night. It's just an exciting film. It's a look behind the curtain at the challenges, the victories, the opportunities for wives of combat veterans to share their story and to understand that PTSD, secondary and vicarious trauma is certainly an issue, and that it is lifelong impact for the family. So I'll send around a flyer. If you have social media, I will send around a sheet. Also, we can send you some electronic images to share on your Facebook pages. Those of you who, unlike me, go beyond to Instagram, to all those advanced sort of applications. I may come to the apps workshop, but if you can share information about this event, we want people to know about it. If you have colleagues elsewhere in Idaho, we're looking for areas that would like to show the film. We have interest in, all the places, Coeur d'Alene, Moscow, Lewiston, Pocatello, Idaho Falls, Twin Falls. So we'd like to get the film out across the state. Idaho Public Television will have screenings during the month, once in May, and then every year for 3 years, plus 12 weeks or a month of streaming after it shows on public television. So we want to get this story out because it's essentially an untold story.
Okay, thank you very much. I've had the privilege of being able to view that film, and having been a caretaker myself, it's spot on, and it's a very powerful film. I think the best part about, if you can attend on May 4th, is having 4 of the members, the wives there that were in the film, and after watching the film, to be able to ask them some questions, and also what their perspective is, this is down the road, because it took several years to get this film completed and things. So I encourage everybody to come out on the 4th. I will be there and look forward to it. Richard?
There's a movie that was produced many years ago about Kate Webb during Vietnam. Kate Webb was a UPI correspondent that I get to know pretty well for a number of reasons. Kate Webb was captured by the VC and kept captured for 23 days. And you can find the movie and the book online. But if you want to see somebody who talks about what it is to be in war and to be captured, she's passed away in the year 2000. But she got quite a story. She has another story too that was not told, but I got to know her pretty well. And if you want to look up something you can find on your own.
We'll have to do that.
On the other side, Kate Webb.
Okay, thank you for that. Dave Fisher, Idaho Veterans Network. We've got a very important announcement. As everyone knows, Marnie Bernard, the founder of Idaho Veterans Network, passed away unexpectedly in October. And Dave is her brother-in-law, and served in the Marine Corps, and he's kind of stepped up and taken on a lot of the responsibility over at Idaho Veterans Network. I'm excited to work with him. Marty had, I'm just going to share this.
Yeah.
Marty had sent me a text message. We talked almost every day, back and forth, and she had gone through a health crisis several months before she passed, and she had sent me a text message and said, well, if I drop dead, I know who I want to take over IVN. And I'm like, well, who's that? And she said, I've got a brother-in-law who's a Marine. And I said, well, 20 years down the road, when that happens, we'll see if he's interested and stuff. And so I met Dave at Marnie's memorial service, and we hit it off right in the beginning. And I took him out to lunch and showed him that text message from Marnie. And he said, well, I guess if the Marn says that I'm the man, then I guess I better step up. So right ahead.
Yeah, that kind of launched me into this a lot sooner than I thought I would be. So, but this flyer is for her memorial. And I have to tell you, we're so excited for this. Saturday, May 14th. We didn't do this at the time when she passed because of COVID and some of the other things that were going on at the time. So we wanted to wait and do this in the spring when we could have the opportunity to bring a lot of people together. And we hope that we will do that on May 14th. Those of you who knew Marnie knew that she was not about the fluff.
She'd actually be very upset that we're doing this.
I think so. But we will have motorcycles, and we will have some other fun stuff and some music that she loved, and a barbecue. So this is not going to be kind of a weepy ceremony. This is going to be a celebration of her life, which will happen on that day, May 14th, from 11 to noon, about an hour, for a brief ceremony that I think you'll enjoy. And then we're going to kind of separate over to an area for a barbecue that's going to be sponsored by the folks that actually publish the Idaho Veterans Network News, the newspaper that's out there on the counter, and a special edition that's coming up here very shortly, featuring Marnie and her life and a whole bunch of other great content, which we'll make available to all of you over the next month or so. And we're excited about that whole event. Come and be a part of the celebration. Stay for the barbecue. It'll be a lot of fun, a lot of time for us to just enjoy the camaraderie of veterans and veteran supporters, and those of you who are functioning in lots of different agencies. And I include you folks that are online. And we'll make sure that this event flyer gets out to all of you so that you're aware of the date. Mark your calendars and plan to be there with us. We're so excited about it, and we're looking forward to seeing all of you there. Thank you. Don't do that to me again.
And just a quick history for those that are new to joining forces or aren't familiar. And I guess I'll call him out. George Nickel is in the room with us here. George caused a little bit of trouble and gotten arrested with Boise PD back in 2009. And Marnie was so upset about it that she called Chief Mike Masterson at the time, told him he was an idiot for arresting this decorated soldier who had PTSD. And to his credit, Mike said, well, why don't you come down to my office and let's talk about this, instead of just, brushing her off as some kook that was calling him stupid. And at that time, she, brought to light that we have a lot of veterans in our community with PTSD, and that the police could handle situations differently. And that is how joining forces was born. They brought together the VA, Idaho Veterans Network, law enforcement, to discuss the resources out there, how we can help each other and bring it together. And I've been honored to be a part of this since 2013. So thank you, Marnie. And I hope everybody will come out that day and enjoy the barbecue and just reminisce about it. And she's going to be pissed. Come out and enjoy yourselves.
You said, brushing off Marnie would not be possible. If you've ever gotten a cocklebur stuck on your socks, that's what it would be like to try to brush off Marnie.
Yeah, just would not happen. So, Christina Rogers, would you like to come up and just introduce yourself and we've got just a few minutes here. Just give a brief overview of the Independence Fund. They were one of the organizations that stepped up yesterday. I just met Christina on March 29th at the Vietnam Veterans celebration and put her on the joining forces list. I think it's going to be a good partnership.
Hi, I wasn't prepared. Sorry, bear with me.
I do that.
The Independence Fund was born almost 15 years ago in the halls of Walter Reed. Our founder, Mike Ferraro, was catastrophically injured. He's had over 122 surgeries. His wife and friends were talking about how they could help families, the veterans, meet the needs to ensure they're living the life they want to meaningfully. So one of our first projects were mobility track chairs. To date, we've sponsored over 2,000 track chairs to veterans nationwide at no cost to them, including maintenance, battery care. And when the veteran passes, we recollect the chair, refurbish it, and hand it to another veteran. And we offer caregiver events. We have a financial program through our Independence at Home, which is how we were able to help sponsor our Vietnam veteran in need. We do casework, which I'm a team of. While we're in North Carolina mainly, I'm luckily and blessed to be here in Idaho and get to work with our state and everyone nationwide. And we just started a new initiative, VJI, along the same lines as joining forces to decriminalize mental health issues. And so that's kind of our pilot program right now in North Carolina, some of the outskirts of South Carolina. We hope to bring that program bigger. And then we're also partners with the VA through our Operation Resiliency. We bring units back together that had true catastrophic loss or suicide after service. We bring those units back together. They serve together, they can heal together. So we have quite a lot of programs. I'll pass around a business card. Check us out online. You have veterans. We work with all eras. And just they can reach out to me or they can reach out online.
Okay, hey, thank you. And I just want to reiterate, there's so many of you that your services overlap and that you do the same things. But my philosophy is we can't have too many people out there helping because every veteran is different. Every situation is different. Every personality is different. Somebody may hit it off really well with Dan and Brad at Mission 43, yet they might not be the right fit for somebody else that hits it off with Christina or Dan at the vet center, or they may use all the services. That's always possible too. So I encourage everybody to reach out to those in the room, those that are online, get to know the different resources. And I appreciate everybody coming today. Our meeting next month, I don't have a destination yet, but we'll figure out where that will be hosted and I will let you know. So thanks for joining us.